Hello students, this is your history lesson. Today we are going to read chapter 10, Rome from Republic to Empire, from Understanding History for class 6. So we start our lesson. First of all, have a look on glossary. Prosperous, successful in material terms, flourishing financially, subdued, to overpower by superior force. Legend, legionaries. Legionaries, a soldier in a Roman and legion. Driven out, operated, moved, or controlled by a specified person or source of power. Content, in a state of happiness, peaceful. Colosseum, a large theatre, cinema or stadium. Aqueducts, an artificial channel for conveying water, typically in the form of a bridge across a valley or other gap. Amphitheaters, especially in Greek and Roman architecture, an open circular or oval building with a central space surrounded by tiers of seats for spectators for the presentation of dramatic or sporting events. Crucifixion. Crucifixion is a method of capital punishment in which victim is tied or nailed to a large wooden beam and left to hang until eventually death for exhaustion. Persecution, hostility, and ill treatments, especially because of race or political or religious beliefs. Now come to the reading of the chapter and understanding the history more about Rome. This is page number 48 from your book. In the 5th century BCE, as Buddha was preaching in the subcontinent, and when in the 3rd century BCE, Ashoka was ruling the Mauryan Empire in the subcontinent, another great empire was growing in Europe. This was the Roman Empire, whose history can be traced further back to the 8th century BCE, and which began from a collection of villages around the 7 hills beside the banks of the river Tiber in Italy and grew into a city called Rome. The surrounding countryside was fertile agricultural land, and the citizens of Rome became prosperous enough, prosperous, financially good, having good materialistic things, we can say here, enough to build an army to expand their influence. At first, the Romans brought the entire Italian peninsula under their control. So, students, how did the Roman Empire begin? From about 2000 BC, people from Central Europe entered the area we know today as Italy. Much of the land was mountainous, so many people settled in the west on the plains of rivers. Rome was established on the Latium plain near the river Tiber in the 8th century BC. Making of the Roman Republic. As the Romans became more powerful, they came into conflict with Carthage, then the strongest power in the Mediterranean region, and after a long interval and 3 wars, Romans successfully overcame them at the end of the 3rd century BCE. To the east, they subdued the Greeks and added Macedon and Thrace to their lands. The Roman territories gradually expanded to include northern Italy, Spain, France, England, North Africa, Asia, Minor Syria, and Palestine in terms of size. The empire was huge and was guarded well by its army of legionaries who were tough, well armed, trained, and disciplined. The legionaries put in 20 years of service, after which they were given some land to farm. So, the people of Rome, the Romans were well organized and respected law and order. By 250 BC, they controlled most of Italy. Then they began to take foreign countries. Soon they looked east to Greece and the Hellenized lands beyond. By 146 BC, all of Greece was under Roman control. Another factor for the spread of the Roman Empire was that the Romans built roads across the length and breadth of their empire for their legions to march over. These roads, most of which exist to this day, were improved by later rulers. Students, one of the reasons for the success of the army was Roman roads. Originally, the roads were built for soldiers, but later, because they helped the trade, they became one of the main reasons why the empire became so prosperous. As people grew wealthy, demand increased for luxurious from the east, including Indian cottons, spices, Chinese silks, jewelry, and perfumes. Today, the routes of many Roman roads are still in use in the old Roman lands. Roman road builders chose the straightest and flattest route between two places. The government of Rome, from kingdom to republic to empire. In the beginning, Rome was ruled by kings, but their cruelty made them unpopular and they were driven out. Rome then became a republic in 509 BCE. This system lasted till 31 BCE, after which it became an empire. Romans were divided into two main groups: the nobles, called patricians, who owned much property and were quite powerful, while the other and larger group was of the common people called plebeians. The patricians had political power through the Senate, an important feature of Rome's government from the early years. The Senate elected the leaders of the city, who were called the consuls. The plebeians also took part in the government through the assemblies and elected people to control the powers of the Senate. Students, the Romans set up a republic, a government in which power is held by the people. And as in Athens, women and slaves were not allowed to take part. In the time of the Republic, there was no king or emperor. Rome was ruled by a group of 100 men called the Senate. Every year, two officials were chosen to lead the Senate. They were called consuls and wore togas, Roman garments, with the purple strip to show their importance. At first, the senators were from the ruling or patrician class, but this made the plebeians, the ordinary people, angry. Later, the patricians allowed the plebeians to have two men called tribunes of the people in the Senate. This system of government still influences the world today. Roman administration. The Roman ruled well and brought peace, law and order, and system of justice to their empire. They did not interfere with the lives of the conquered people as long as they accepted Rome's rule, obeyed the law, and paid the taxes. They could also become Roman citizens and were proud to be so. The citizens of Rome were generally content, happy, pleased. They carried on with their lives and work and knew that they would get justice under the law. But slavery was also a part of Roman life, and under some cruel rulers, life became tough for common people who faced harsh punishment for opposing the government, like being made to fight wild animals in the Colosseum, also called Colosseum in Rome. Students, the Romans allowed the people they conquered to keep their own religions. The official Roman religion, which was followed by the emperors, was the worship of the Roman gods. Most of these were the old Greek gods with new names. At home, people believed in household gods. There were many of these, including a god of the doorway and a god of the store cupboard. People prayed, put up altars, and gave gifts of bread, wine, or fruit to these gods. Students, if we talk about Rome's legal system, the court where trials were held. In a trial, there was a judge, and for important cases, a jury of up to 75 men. The accused person could hire a lawyer called an advocatus to speak for him. The Romans developed laws to cover all areas of life. The legal systems of many countries today have been influenced by the Roman legal system. As compared to other European kingdoms of their time, the Romans were quite advanced in many ways. They followed the Greek model of education, and both men and women were quite learned and cultured. One of the aims of education was to develop good public speakers. Their cities were well planned and houses were well constructed. They have also left buildings, public baths, libraries, sculptures, coins, and recorded histories of their famous empire. They were good engineers, and their water systems included aqueducts, which were canals carrying water from the mountains to their cities over huge bridges. For their armies to march across the length and breadth of their empire, they made roads which survive to this day. They were fond of entertainment and relaxation, and the rulers made sure that the Colosseum, amphitheaters, theaters for plays, public baths, and grand temples to their gods were there for the people to enjoy. Students, the Romans have given many things to the modern world. Some of them are so much a part of our lives that we may not even realize where they came from. As we talk about towns and cities, before the Romans, Europe had few urban settlements. The Romans changed the way Europe looked and the way its people lived forever as they introduced urban civilization and well built towns and cities. Many modern towns and cities are on Roman sites. For example, London, the capital city of England, which was begun by the Romans in 43 AD as a port called Londinum, most Roman towns and cities had a large open space in the center called the Forum, which was both a meeting place and a marketplace. Since Roman times, many towns and cities have been built on this Roman plain. Rome grew to become the largest and grandest city ever seen. It had many public buildings, for example, temples, theaters, and public baths. The Roman religion. The Roman religion was influenced by the Greeks. They worshipped many gods, the highest among them being Jupiter. Mars was the god of war, Venus the goddess of love, and Minerva. Minerva the goddess of wisdom, and there were several other minor gods as well. All of these were worshipped in temples and public sacrifices were made to them. The months in the Roman calendar were named after their gods and emperors. The origins of months names in the Gregorian calendar are shown below. January, Janus, Roman god of gates, doorways, beginnings, and endings. February, Fabrus, Etruscan god of death. March, Mars, Roman god of wars or war. April, associated with the name of an ancient root meaning other, i.e., the second month of a year beginning in March. May, Maya, Maestas, Roman goddess. June, Juno, Roman goddess, wife of Jupiter. July, Julius Caesar, Roman dictator. Augustus, first Roman emperor. September, Septem, Latin for seven, the seventh month. October, Octo, Latin for eight, the eighth month. November, Novem, Latin for nine, the ninth month. December, Decem, Latin for 10, the 10th month. Origins of Christianity. Christianity originated in Palestine, then a part of the Roman Empire, and it was the Roman governor of Judea who, in 33 CE, ordered the crucifixion Jesus Christ, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, under the pressure of the Jewish religious leaders. However, the faith became popular with the poor, the slaves, and people who were dissatisfied with the Roman religion. For the next 300 years, Christians faced cruelty and persecution in the Roman Empire. Christianity found favor when Constantine, the Byzantine Empire, 306 to 337 BC, converted to the religion and many churches were built by him. By the time Constantine died, Christianity had become the official religion of the Byzantine Empire. So, students, the Christian religion was started by Jesus Christ. After he died, his followers broke away from the Jewish religion and Christianity spread quickly to many areas. Christians refused to worship the emperor as a god. Until the 4th century AD, Christians were persecuted or treated badly. Christians were killed by wild animals as an entertainment for Roman audiences in the huge Colosseum theater in Rome. In the 4th century AD, Con- the Emperor Constantine turned away from the worship of the Roman gods. He gave out an edict of toleration towards Christians. Christianity changed from a minority religion to an important religion in the Roman Empire. Later, when the empire collapsed, it survived in many areas of Europe. Breakup of the Roman Empire. For better administration, the Roman Empire was divided into two in 285 CE, with the western half in Rome, Italy, and the eastern half in Byzantium on the Bosphorus, where Emperor Constantine made his capital Constantinople, now Istanbul, named after himself. Byzantium remained the capital of the East Roman Empire for over 1,000 years. However, the western half of the empire collapsed in the 5th century because of the invasions of various savage tribes like the Huns under their leader Attila, and in 476 by Odoacer, which ended the rule of the last Roman emperor Romulus Augustus. The Roman and then the Byzantine empires thus lasted for nearly 2,200 years, from 753 BCE to 1453 CE, and left behind many traditions and much history. Students, the Emperor Diocletian divided the empire into two, west and east, to make it easier to defend. Each part had its own emperor. The capital of the Eastern Byzantine Empire was Byzantium, which was later called Constantinople. Today it is called Istanbul. Now come to the questions. Question 1. How did Rome develop into a city? Answer. In the 5th century BCE, as Buddha was preaching in the subcontinent, and when in the 3rd century BCE, Ashoka was ruling the Mauryan Empire in the subcontinent, another great empire was growing in Europe. This was the Roman Empire, whose history can be traced further back to the 8th century BCE, and which began from a collection of villages around the seven hills beside the banks of the river Tiber in Italy, and grew into a city called Rome. Question 2. How did Rome become prosperous enough to raise an army? Answer. The surrounding countrysides of Roman Empire was fertile agricultural land, and the citizens of Rome became prosperous enough to build an army to expand their influence. At first, the Romans brought the entire Italian peninsula under their control. Question 3. Who were the legionaries and what was their function? Answer. The Roman Empire was huge in terms of size and was guarded well by its army of legionaries who were tough, well armed, trained, and disciplined. The legionaries put in 20 years of service, after which they were given some land to farm. Question 4. Why was the Roman army successful in defeating and conquering other states? Answer. As the Romans became more powerful, they came into conflict with Carthage, then the strongest power in the Mediterranean region, and after a long interval and three wars, Romans successfully overcame them at the end of the 3rd century BCE. The Roman territories gradually expanded to include northern Italy, Spain, France, England, North Africa, Asia Minor, Syria, and Palestine. Question 5. Explain why Rome became a republic. Answer. In the beginning, Rome was ruled by kings, but their cruelty made them unpopular and they were driven out. Rome then became a republic in 509 BCE. This system lasted till 31st BCE. Question 6. What are aqueducts? How were they used by the Romans? Answer. Aqueducts are structures used to conduct a water stream across a hollow or valley. Roman Empire constructed well-planned houses and highly developed cities. They were good engineers and their water systems based on aqueducts, which were canals carrying water from the mountains to their cities over huge bridges. Question 7. Explain the division of the Roman Empire into two wings. Answer. For better administration, the Roman Empire was divided into two in 285 BCE, with the western half in Rome, Italy, and the eastern half in Byzantium on the Bosphorus, where Emperor Constantine made his capital Constantinople, now Istanbul, named after himself. Byzantium remained the capital of the East Roman Empire for over 1,000 years. Question 8. How did the Romans respond to Christianity? Answer. Christianity originated in Palestine, then a part of the Roman Empire. The faith became popular with the poor, the slaves, and people who were dissatisfied with the Roman religion. For the next 300 years, Christians faced cruel and persecution in the Roman Empire. Question 9. Explain the rule of Emperor Constantine in making Christianity the religion of the Roman Empire. Answer. Christianity found favor when Constantine, the Byzantine Empire 306 to 337 CE, converted to the religion, and many churches were built by him. By the time Constantine died, Christianity had become the official religion of the Byzantine Empire. Question 10. What were the reasons for the decline of the Roman Empire? Answer. The western half of the empire collapsed in the 5th century because of the invasions of various savage tribes like the Huns under their leader Attila, and in 476 by Odessa, which ended the rule of the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustus. The Roman and then the Byzantine empires thus lasted for nearly 2200 years, from 753 BC to 1453 CE, 1453 CE, and left behind many traditions and much history. Question 10. What were the reasons for the decline of the Roman Empire? Answer. The western half of the empire collapsed in the 5th century because of the invasions of various savage tribes like the Huns under their leader Attila, and in 476 by Odessa, which ended the rule of the last Roman emperor Romulus Augustus. The Roman and then the Byzantine empires thus lasted for nearly 2200 years, from 753 BCE to 1453 BCE and left behind many traditions and much history. Complete the following statements. 1. The Romans built roads across the empire to march across the length and breadth of their empire. 2. The eastern half of the Roman Empire was called Byzantium. 3. The Roman Empire collapsed because of the invasions of various savage tribes like Huns. 4. The Senate was composed of the consuls. 5. Constantinople was named after Emperor Constantine. Thanks for listening. For new videos, don't forget to subscribe my channel. And if you like my videos, please share and like.